Hello everyone. Welcome to a live stream. I'm hoping this one is much better than the last one. I tried multi-streaming, I've binned it off. I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. Should be much easier to look at and to use. So fingers crossed this is tickety-boo. So the element here is, sorry, I know, the market's crashed. A little bit of FUD, fear. Bitcoin's going to get sold off by Biden and all that kind of stuff. And today is a state funeral day for the former president, Jimmy Carter, who died, I think he was 100 years old. Fair play, getting to that age, certainly as a politician, but ultimately it is a closed day. So it might be a bit of a lull, boring day, but then again, this crypto, right? So yeah, we're going to look at a couple of bits and pieces, which will be fun, kind of ish. We're going to look at the market cycles, what's happened with the ETF. We're going to look at the money flow. We're going to look at dollar cost averaging and kind of zoom out a little bit because I think, in my opinion, and I will come to questions, so feel free to get some questions and like the video and all that kind of good stuff to help engage. But I honestly think people are absolutely flapping for no real reason. I don't know, clickbait, but ultimately people need to listen to the market and look at what the past has given us. Is January one of the worst months we have? It's the fourth worst, pretty much. Very, very close between a couple of them, but often a very iffy month. And we've got Donald Trump coming into power. So that's going to be a massive, massive factor. Realistically, let's be honest here. So the big problem that we do have, and we've got to be brutally honest with ourselves, is where do we go next? And for obvious reasons, yes, I've gone live a little bit earlier today, just due to the fact that we do have a closed day. So it'll be interesting to look at things. But firstly, let's look at this, right? Now, it isn't rocket science. I'll refresh it so it's kind of somewhat correct. There we go. January last year was pretty. Year prior to that, but we had a pretty rough winter. Realistically, if you think about it, from August all the way through, we had one green month. So we had a decent pickup at the start of 2023. The thing is, with last year, we had a relatively strong year. We had a very, very strong winter of Q4 of 2023, leading into 2024. But even then, even then, January, 0.62% growth monthly return on Bitcoin. Obviously, yes, you can argue the same with Ethereum. One of those weird kind of situations where, we had a very, very strong Q1 of last year. But that is just the way it is. Unfortunately, for some people, I know you don't like it, but that's just the way it is. So we'll see how things go longer term. And again, if we're going to go into stuff like this, market performance of the low, both of these cycles in the past, and we kind of are somewhat following it just about, we tend to get a bit of a mania spike during Q1. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, Donald Trump's inauguration could be very, very interesting to see where we go. But I think people are panicking. And my personal experience is I think a lot of people are looking to check out this cycle. I mentioned this in my Patreon video yesterday. It feels like some influence is going to vanish. It feels like some people are like looking to check out this cycle for some reason. Whereas I'm more on the fence of like, if you're a financial kind of player, if you're in the markets, it's a lifetime thing. It's a way of life, and you have to build somehow, right? And one interesting tweet that I saw before was from Bitcoin Magazine Pro, and on their paid subscription, which I do have access to, you can actually do this yourself and you can look at it. And this is the thing: 2017 isn't that far, not too far away. Like it wasn't that long ago. Yes, obviously a lot has happened, but you got to think from today's date, from 2025, what will happen in the next 8 years with Bitcoin? What will happen in gold, stocks, right? There's a good chance you will still probably outperform the market by just playing the game of crypto, by being able to buy low, sell high, and repeat and repeat and repeat in terms of multiple different cycles or, certain, whatever you want to use, realistically indicators. But that is absolutely baffling. At like $25 a week, your 10,500, basically $10,500 investment is worth that much. And I know obviously it's Bitcoin and it's all kind of relative, but the reality is here, this cryptocurrency vehicle is still the fastest vehicle ever, right? Let's be honest, versus anything else. over the last 5 years, over the last 3 years. It's been absolutely mental. And I mean, there's a couple of people in Discords that I'm in, like obviously both of mine, and I've seen a couple of others, like screenshots that people are genuinely getting fatigued and giving up. But you got to think there's people out here, right, who invested in crypto, say 4 or 5 years ago, who are tickle pink right now and probably up quite a lot. Certainly if you held Bitcoin. But there's people that are still new or newish trying to make money somewhere. And they will do it eventually. It'll take time. But, the new players that will come in will find it much, much harder, I think, because they will look at Bitcoin and go, that's overvalued. They'll look at maybe Ethereum, go, that's overvalued, and they'll look for something else. But I think the gains are, let's be honest, still probably in Bitcoin. Unfortunately for some people to hear that, that's just the way it is. It's just the way I look at it as well. And we look at obviously the ETF, not been great over the last 2 days, but over the course of the year, which is pretty much nearly a year anniversary since they went live, give or take. I can't remember when they went live. Was it the 6th? There you go, 16th of January. So we're not that far away. Wow, it's a year already. So already $36.3 billion, give or take, has been thrown into the market. Obviously, you could argue more than that because, for obvious reasons, yes, you've got, the 21,000, not 21,000, you get 21 billion has been sold by Grayscale. Wherever that went, who knows? So, yeah, it's interesting, I know, and people are like, oh my God. But the reality is here. I think people are a little bit panicky, and I understand why. If you're looking at certain things and you're thinking, oh my God, like, don't get me wrong, altcoins look horrendous. They do. They're disgustingly bad at the minute. So altcoins are the worry. But with the regard to Bitcoin, pretty interesting in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. If you're new as well, or if you've just been watching this video, hit the like button. Let's get as many likes as possible. I am just going to be focusing on live streams this year, just due to timings. It'll all become apparent why I'm doing it for obvious reasons. I will explain in more detail in a couple of weeks' time. And more importantly, I think it's just better for people to get this live interaction, and it's also more flexible. BB, welcome to the hodler group. I'll be able to add more to the YouTube membership thing as I go. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get some new stuff on there. But yeah, let's have a little look at the chat before we move on into other bits and pieces and look at the technicals. We're in a range, hopefully. I want us to be in a range. Let's just make that apparent. I want us to be in a range. If we're in a range, we might get a breather in altcoins. We could be, and I know I'm like waffling a little bit here, we could be looking at the same time as last year sort of vibe where Bitcoin, now let's just take this kind of in sync here. If Bitcoin repeats this process of doing nothing in January, right, where it's a bit iffy, oh, speculation, Donald Trump, oh, all that kind of stuff, right, we might see a breather from altcoins, maybe. If that does happen, it's important because we've had a big push on Bitcoin. We haven't really consolidated much. We have a little bit, but we've had those little spikes to the upside, and then we've went down, and it's not allowed Bitcoin to stay enough still for altcoins to obviously have a rhythm. If that then leads to what happened at the start of last year, where some things went up, February was very strong for that period. So obviously over the period of, was it December, January, February sort of vibe, it was really, really solid for the altcoins in a little small window. That could happen this year if Bitcoin ranges, if altcoins magically breathe. But we'll see how it goes if it gets interest in the market. Certainly for me, I'm a lot less heavy in altcoins than I was. I'm still very much heavy in Bitcoin, still very much in runes. I've got a couple of altcoins here and there related to Bitcoin. I don't need to worry too much about altcoins these days, but that's a good thing. But what altcoins do bring is people to the market, hype, that element of, wow, here comes the retail, it's going a bit crazy, and here comes the money. Whether that happens or not anytime soon, we'll don't know, but we'll see. So let's look at some questions and we'll look at the old technicals to see what happens. When do you see this pullback bottoming out? I want to get BDC. To be honest with you, any rune coin which is on chain, it won't really react too much realistically to what Bitcoin does. Never really does. Like, it's all done in sats. So sometimes you could argue maybe a lower price in USD and Bitcoin would be quite good for that. So we'll see how it goes. But I think rune season will be coming up very, very soon again. It seems to come in little cyclical bouts, but we'll see how things go. Bitcoin crashed the price of last week. True. I liked. I did see a bit of Camel Finance's video yesterday actually, and it was like, oh, we've not seen these prices for 4 days, and it's true. Like, I mean, that's the thing, and I think what like makes sense for me for a lot of people as well is the same. If you've been in the market for long enough, right? And I know today, oh, it's ugly. We're retesting this 38.2 level, but realistically, like most people are like dismissive of the fact that we've done such a big move, and we haven't. Let's be honest. I think there's more of a drop to come here because that's just the rules of average. The rule of average would often tell us that we tend to get a 25 to 30% corrections on overall moves in the market, right? Especially in a Bitcoin bull cycle. Now, that's not to scare you, but that's just common sense. Like we often find that it does happen, and even a 20% correction would send us in and around where that little box is. But realistically, this is I'm looking to buy some more Bitcoin on my dollar cost average challenge. Why not? Because it just makes more sense, in my opinion, just to buy at these range lows and just stack the sats. And it's worked out pretty well for me over the course of like since September, since doing it. So fingers crossed that can pay off into the world of dividends for me, but we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, we'll see where it goes. At the end of the day, this might be the range. This low to this high, this might be the range. Deviated twice above that 100k level. Ugly, I know, but we'll see where it goes. Could be pretty disgusting for some people to watch. I do feel your pain if you bought high or if you have over risked. Someone predicted that the price of Bitcoin reaching 10 million only a week after the network went live. Yeah, I think Howell was probably pulling legs at that point, quite literally. But we'll see how things go. I think there's a lot of people that are very bullish on Bitcoin. I don't see anything crazy happening this cycle. I think we've already went from 15k. I can't see us going to like 500k, 1 million, which some people do think. And I think that's quite obvious realistically. Um, but yeah, I forget the value weekly of buys. But yeah, to be honest with you, if you price Bitcoin in sats, it's a different game. And then it kind of hurts when you do that if you've been in the game for a while. Certainly, like me, if it, when it was down to like the $600, $700 when I first bought it, or ultimately in the bear market of 2018 when it went down to 3,000, all that kind of stuff does become a pain in the ass. But ultimately, you know, the Bitcoin value when you zoom out gets more and more powerful in terms of like strength, and you could argue a lot of things, but it's pretty crazy when you think about it. Do I think we're at the bottom? Close-ish. At the end of the day, I don't think we're at the bottom, but I think we're starting to see a lot of fatigue. I think we're seeing a lot of people give up. I think what ruined it for a lot of people was Jerome Powell and him coming out with the fact that, oh, we don't want to do as many rate cuts this year. Oh, what? You're doing four, mate? No, it's actually going to be two. Oh no, that I think that's what ruined Christmas for a lot of people, and that's what sent the markets a little bit. Oh no, so that's obviously a factor of why we've kind of literally crumbled since that point. But we'll see how things go. Um, but we'll go from there. Have I got a schedule? I'm thinking of doing Mondays, possibly Thursday, Fridays, but we'll see. It depends on the market. At the end of the day, for me, I could do a quick live stream in 30 to 40 minutes versus planning a video, scripting a video, editing a video, then rendering the video, then uploading it, then allowing you guys to watch it at night. Whereas I could do this 40 minutes, I can have a little bit of a plan, I can just fucking go for it. And then the video's up straight away. And then anyone who's missed it can go and watch it. So I know some people complain about the timings, but ultimately I'm trying to do it when the market will open or when it gets volatile. So between 1:30 UK time to 2:30 UK time. That's roughly when the market will start opening. And obviously it depends when the clocks go back as well and they change a little bit. But I will try and cover the US Open because it kind of makes sense. So yeah, there will be a schedule. Obviously it's all up in the air at the minute, but we'll get it all figured out and I'll get it all neat, tidy, beautiful. That's the whole plan of it. I'm hoping it looks a lot better. But we'll go from there, realistically. Hope we range. Yeah, me too. Whether we do or not, I don't know. I don't think we're going to get a massive alt. I think alt seasons are like somewhat of a thing of a past. They tend to just be a bit of a breathing space, which is fine, but not everything's. I think there's too many altcoins now. There's not enough liquidity. Yeah, we need more plebs to come in. No offense to anyone. to become that exit liquidity, to become that range of liquidity, of high leverage stupidness that will bring us the money. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime like craziness. I think we've got to build and it's got to bubble away. But we've had a few little teasers of it. We'll see how it goes, but could be a lot worse than it is, I think, personally. Being just down in the bear market, yeah, it's rough. YouTube subscriptions are as simple as just identifying markers for live streams and little bits and pieces like that, plus the ability to talk more random stuff, as well as like just schedule stuff. It's nothing crazy. At the end of the day, the membership's designed just so I can see comments and so I can engage with comments. And if there's basically, put it this way, in a bull market, there's far too many people on these live streams. I can go, only members can chat, for example, stuff like that. It's nothing mental. It's just something as an identifying marker. And whenever I do live streams, people always ask, do you do a membership? And I'm like, no. Well, why not? Because everyone else does it. So I thought, bollocks, I might as well put it on. It's just one of those things. What's your opinion of Super? I have no idea, to be honest with you. Never really looked at it. My knowledge of altcoins is diminishing quite drastically with the amount of new ones coming out, and let's be honest, they all look the same. It's like walking through a garden. Some flowers all look the same. It's just that sort of vibe at the minute. I feel like we're going to become probably too much, and I know this is not like a criticism of all things, but when you think about the altcoin market, and I've loved altcoins for years, and I feel like we're in that sort of sticky situation with altcoins. Now, this is my opinion. We might be looking in 10 years' time, and some of these altcoins might well become mass adoption things that are in the real world, like Chainlink as a random example, or maybe, I don't know, XRP, whatever, right? Hedger Hashgraph, just random examples off the top of my head, or even Polkadot, right? Where eventually over time, consumers, products, whatever enterprises use blockchain technology and they're linked to an altcoin that might well do well. Doesn't mean they're going to get invested, doesn't mean they're going to go to the moon, but it might mean they get use. It's validation. But the thing is, we're not there yet. I think one of the big things that has really tripped up a lot of us over this cycle is hype, and the community and the cult of the community is stronger than any bit of technology. That's what I'm getting the grasp of at the minute. Because in my opinion, I know I've just seen a question about Polkadot. Polkadot has fantastic technology under the hood. It's hard to use, but it's got fantastic technology with great ideas. Hasn't got the hype. Hasn't got the hype, right? You could argue why XRP, Stellar Lumen, and stuff like that all did well recently. It was because of regulation and the hype of regulation and the ability to do that. So stuff like that is interesting. Obviously, Sui is another one, fantastic bit of kit. But one of the main reasons why this is doing really well is because of scarcity of the supply. There's only so much supply out at the minute. Realistically, in the future, it's going to dilute over the next, 5-10 years. So there's a lot of things that like are reasons why markets move, which is usually supply and demand. Problem is, there's too many things and not enough demand, which is why we've seen these 80-90% drop offs in the BTC pair on pretty much every single altcoin, minus a couple. Like the ones that like stood a test of time was essentially what, Solana, maybe Tron, you could argue, in terms of the BTC pair, which is really random, by the way. BNB is not done as terrible, but that's obviously market plumbing because it's an exchange. The way I look at it, I think most things related to Bitcoin will probably do well in the next couple of years, but I think some altcoins really have to stand out. I can't see everything just going up because even in the last cycle, it didn't happen. Like not everything flew to the moon. When you look at the BTC pairs, it just didn't really do it. So it's a little bit unfortunate, and I think we've got to kind of adapt a little bit. I mean, I'm bullish on stacks, you know that, but ultimately nothing's happening yet because the developers are not using the SBTC because it's brand new, it's squeaky clean, it's still got the wrappers on it. So once that happens, it'll probably do well. You got new assets such as Pudgy Penguins and stuff like that, which is crazy enough in itself to see that that's doing well enough. And some other altcoins just not doing nowhere near as good as what they should be doing, in my opinion. I think there's some really good ones down here, but they've just not got any kind of sunlight and nutrition, let's just say, if we want to put a decent word on it. But we'll see how things go. It could be absolutely mad to think where we could be going next. But yeah, we'll see. Do you think Polkadot parachains? No, I think Polkadot parachains are pretty much dying out. I do. I think Polkadot 2.0 changed the narrative in terms of what they're looking to do. So the crowd loans can essentially go elsewhere if they wanted to. They just didn't work, did they? They came out at the wrong time, pretty much. Do you think there's yes too many altcoins? I think the AI ones. Yeah, I agree. Liquidity trap. I think every cycle I've been in, and I know this is going to sound really obvious, but there's always those like little honey traps of like, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll change our white paper to have AI on it, or whatever narrative, and we'll make it fit. We've seen it so many times with different things. We've seen it like the likes of Zilliqa, for example, went from, bloody sharding blockchain as a number one priority to we're not even bothered about that anymore. We just want to do like random shit like AI and bollocks, whatever, because why not metaverse? Woohoo. Remember that? Remember metaverse? Oh Christ! So all kinds of stuff like that will become a bit of a problem, and I think the AI world is fantastic, but ultimately you can't have too many in crypto because it just won't work because you've got all the other companies in the world that already do it. What do you need a token for? You've got that's another thing as well, and I know this is very bearish, and a lot of people say, like I used to say this all the time. I should have really carried on with that mindset of, well, when you're doing your research, realistically, you should be looking at like what do we need a token for? What's a token used for? If you start speculating and like kind of delving deep, thinking, why does this need a token? You'll start getting a lot of answers of why you shouldn't really be investing in it. Now, this is why I've kind of changed my style a little bit and gone for the kind of, I know what I want to do. I want to buy more runes and ordinals because I like Bitcoin more than anything else. I'd rather be in that Bitcoin ecosystem and try and grow sats that way versus buying altcoins and hoping they go up, because I think that's where we are right now. We're hoping that altcoins do well. Yeah, have some exposure, but until we get a defined answer as to when money is going to flow into the market and rotation is going to go in, is there any reason why we should be holding them? Because the way I look at it, the total 3/BTC is here. It's like absolutely low, and it hasn't really changed enough to give me that situation thinking, you know what, I should be buying balls deep in altcoins because we're going to go up. The reason why this went so high so quickly was because of XRP, unfortunately, and XLM and Hedger Hashgraph, not every single thing going up. Eventually, it will probably start trickling up, but right now, it's like, well, you don't have to ape completely. But I think I kind of put it on my Patreon this morning about what my plan is. Feel free to jump in if you want to know what I'm doing. But I said that altcoin, like whatever, random altcoin, versus a new rune, there's more chance of me making more money with less risk than holding bigger in an altcoin, realistically, because that's just how it is. And that's happened many, many times over the last couple of months. It's just scary to think that there's a situation where meme coins on Solana as fresh launches could do much better than most top 50 altcoins if you're lucky enough to find the right one, or even just it double or tripling in price. Some top 50 assets have not tripled in price in a long time. That's mad. It's mad to think. It just feels like a casino table with altcoins right now, and that's kind of the absolute problem with it all. When do you think alt sees? Well, we'd need to get one first. How high could you see the total market cap? Ugh, that's such a the total market cap is such a wishy-washy kind of indicator, and I think people need to like avoid. I wouldn't say avoid it, but when you get more and more, you can see the state of this. Jesus Christ. When you get more and more assets coming into the market, right? And for obvious reasons, let's be honest with ourselves. In a bull market, we're going to get more and more assets. Obviously, yes, some of them will go up, don't get me wrong. But when you think however many tokens are getting added to the market every single week, it's ridiculous, right? So that's just going to increase the amount of noise in the market. And when you think back into times of like 2017, there was hardly any altcoins. There wasn't. There was fuck all. Now there's like millions. Let's be honest, it's crazy. I mean, for me, we already are doing pretty well. Like, let's be honest. Like a lot of people forget that, but majority of this is Bitcoin, and that looks just like the Bitcoin chart. Total two deviates away from it completely because it isn't including Bitcoin. That just shows you the underperformance of the market. Again, total three similar. So it's a hard one. I would be very disappointed if like we don't double or triple the total two. Let's be honest, because when you look at the prior cycles from the low here, which was what COVID crash, we were at $42 billion. Whoo, and we went into the trillions, right? Got a thing from the low here, we're already up what? Let's just say 3x ish. From here, you're expecting another couple of X's at least. Maybe go to at least 3 trillion in terms of market capitalization, but that's from the low. Like from the lows alone, that's still quite a big jolt. And I think people forget that. Even if we're going to go to there, let's just say So that could still be like a 6, 7x realistically, right, in terms of total market cap. But some people won't be happy with that. But realistically, when you compare it to the prior cycle, what did it do? I mean, it is a very, very different number, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Look at that. So the numbers are very different. So that might be just a very, very clear and obvious diminishing return. But ultimately, as the numbers get higher, it's going to be higher. Oh, hello, there's a Fibonacci there. It's going to be much, much harder to achieve that goal. But realistically, I know people will be like, oh, what, only 3 trillion for altcoins? But will we get there? That's another question. Will Ethereum pull its finger out of its ass and actually get us there? I don't know. I mean, Ethereum has been so poor. So we've got to look at that. Yeah, we could be looking at certain things. But again, if we're looking at this in terms of, I know this is very, very rough and ready and ugly and whatnot, but let's be honest here. If we're looking at extension levels, like realistically, if you're in altcoins and you've been buying the lows and you're thinking USD prices are alone, you've got to at least aim for this sort of area. Let's be honest here, realistically. But I wouldn't even want to know what would this look. Well, this probably would be nowhere near it from the prior cycle to the. Oh, actually, oh hello, no, it's all right. So that topped out at 3.618, give or take, around that number from that swing, which is pretty good. So if we're thinking about diminishing returns and we're thinking about Fibonacci extension levels, if that means that we miss off the 3.618, which is fine, I'd happily be like thinking, you know what, up at this ranges, it might be all right. But at the minute, I find it unlikely just due to the fact that we have been so poor over the course of, there's not been any breathing space, not been any kind of running. Me and Gaz talked about it on the Learning Crypto video that we do, where it was both of us, new feature. We kind of went on about altcoins quite a lot, thinking, oh my God, is this really what we've got to look forward to? Is it just a Bitcoin season? Is it molding into that institutional kind of growth? And realistically, when are altcoins going to get the sunlight? We don't know. And that's the thing. We're waiting for that to happen, and we're waiting for that trigger to happen. It could happen if Bitcoin obviously consolidates, but we're waiting. But realistically, yeah, we could be looking at the next leg up. I mean, $2 trillion could be very interesting for altcoins, in my opinion. I think that'd be very interesting. But ultimately, when you look at the likes of Ethereum and stuff like that, it's so down. I mean, I'll just give you an example. That's the Ethereum.d chart. Like, it's lost so many percentages versus Bitcoin. It's crazy. It's been such an underperformer, and people are like, "What, really?" Yeah, it has. Unfortunately, it's almost at it is. It's at 2020 levels pretty much. It's crazy when you think about that. Absolutely ugly. God, that was a long-winded answer, wasn't it? Christ. Oh well, the metaverse. I mean, it tickled me, the metaverse. I never got involved in it at all, and people were like, "You're stupid for not getting involved in it." Yeah, good idea. Probably it might be a couple of years till it actually does take off. But then again, you think about technology, you think about like your headsets and that, maybe. But it's just a bit of a weird one, isn't it? If you're new, by the way, or if you've a random watcher, like the video, please, or like the live stream more to the point. I need to get used to saying that. It might take me a bit of time to get used to saying that. I love that all these crypto YouTubers have so many years in crypto and trading mistakes, explaining why the bull market is not over, why let them if they're not smart. Well, yeah, true. I think the biggest problem with YouTube is it's all to do with views. And the thing is, there's a lot of YouTubers out here, and I don't want to pick anyone out, but there's a lot of them are quite new. You just don't notice it because their subscriber levels are quite high because they picked the right time to jump in the market. They did a certain type of content. I mean, I've been investing since 2016. I mean, I did a YouTube channel in, start of 2019 pretty much. So I've had like 2 cycles pretty much, or 1 cycle and 1 cycle and a bit. Whereas some people get a lot of views and the view ratio is crazy. But ultimately, there's a lot of people that you probably consuming their content. They've only been around since 2020 or 2021. They've never really looked at the past or whatever. It's crazy. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But the thing with YouTube is it's a time thing as well. You know, easy to get views if you're doing the right thing at the right time, though. What about RSR? I like RSR, but I'm not sure if it'll do as well as people think due to the supply. Supply is massive versus what it was. So people will be looking at the all-time high thinking, oh, it's going to get there. But then it'll be like 5x the supply, so it's going to be much harder. These glasses are Ray-Bans, but they don't connect to the metaverse, unfortunately. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things like that as like simple technology is like absolutely baffling. What doesn't make sense. I mean, the old Apple thing that looks crazy is like, I mean, I just can't. Well, I can imagine a world, but I personally couldn't. I don't know. I think I'd look like a dick if you were running around like the high street or whatever, and you're like, I want to put my big goggles on, like a ski goggle, just to kind of watch the internet as I walk along. I just find it baffling. Like it's just making it even worse with the whole swipe narrative of the world, isn't it? Like TikTok and stuff. It's like crazy. Like everyone wants to consume content. Content, 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 content. Crazy. Don't know why you guys watch me, to be honest with you, but hey, we're here. It's crazy, I know. How low will dominance go on Bitcoin? It's a great question, but honestly, there's so many factors at play with the Bitcoin dominance that I think people forget. Like, again, what I talked about before, the amount of dilution of altcoins. I mean, at the end of the day, it only takes one or two big altcoins to really move, and then this will change. We've seen that recently with obviously XRP, XLM, Hedra Hashgraph, but realistically, I can't see this going lower than 38%. I just can't. Right now, in the terms of the current moment in the market, how heavy and strong Bitcoin is and how weak some of the altcoins are. We're talking about altcoins here that have like down so much, they're down bad. But looking at it from the other point of view, you've got liquidity traps where potentially, let's be honest here, if something's down 90% and a bit of volume comes into it, it's going to pop. Look at RSR, good example from the question there. RSR had a similar sort of situation where it just popped. And I don't have the BTC pair here, but the market price of it really took off very, very quickly. It got a lot of volume, a lot of hype just due to, I think it was a Trump administration appointment, which is bullish for this technically. So yeah, you might find a lot of altcoins that have done really bad, get a bit of volume, and then all of a sudden they just pop and it creates that rhythm. But that's not happened yet. So we'll have to see where it goes. And again, it goes down to the likes of obviously how bad Ethereum's done. And obviously, if you remove XLM and XRP from the last couple of weeks or couple of months, sorry, these percentages going up from like 1% up to like 4%, give or take. Realistically, Bitcoin dominance would be at the 60, 62, 63 right now. But those, and obviously this XLM, I think XLM.D, bear with me. I think XLM.D is the most obvious. Look at this. You'll see what I mean. You'll be like, oh my God, I see what you mean. I mean, this is gone, right? It doesn't look like a lot. I know it doesn't. But when you see an altcoin that goes from 0.12% to 0.3, back up and retraced well beyond, well, it went as high as like 2021 levels in a matter of what, a week and a bit. That's a bit of a move, that. So you might find a lot of altcoins actually just do this big massive pop to the upside and think, oh my God. And then dominance will eventually, well, it should do, it should fall. But it takes so long for that to kind of happen, and it will take a long, long time. But I can't see us going below 38 anytime soon. I think the money in Bitcoin's too big. And people will be like hodling it, thinking, you know what, I've made it here. I'm not. Why would I want to sell this? Yes, there'll still be bear markets, whatever. But people will be like, nah, that's not. Um, all the talk of all season being dead. Yeah, it is. I agree. I think we're getting to fatigue, and I think we're going to get to a massive hated rally soon on a lot of altcoins. So I think certain ones will absolutely take off, but some ones will probably stand still, and that's what's going to hurt a lot, I think, this cycle. But we'll see how it is. I feel like 99% of people are going to be disappointed in the bull run. Bitcoin or not. Yeah, I think 100% with Bitcoin. I think people have came into Bitcoin, I wouldn't say late, but not early enough. Like for me, and I mentioned this and I said it on my Patreon, and like buying Bitcoin, and I thought I'd do a DCA challenge on it, thinking, I'm just going to buy Bitcoin until I think it's too expensive. Then I'm going to sell it and then rebuy it back in the bear market and rinse, repeat, and just have a bit of fun with it. But when people come to me and go, right, I've been in the market 6 months and I'm really unhappy about the returns, and I bought Bitcoin high or I could have bought it lower. And then I think to myself, well, there's probably people on the other foot going, I've been in the market 5 years and I'm absolutely tickle pink. Why would I want to sell my Bitcoin for altcoins, which are diminishing completely? And then it's like, well, it's that time mechanism of the market. And it really does play out, because it's absolutely chalk and cheese between I bought Bitcoin 3 months ago versus I bought Bitcoin 3 years ago. And it's like, wow. I mean, that just shows you the difference in price from what market low of $15,000, right? Let's be honest, there's a cycle low to 108,000. That's a good move. But there'll be people buying at 100K expecting to go to 500K or a million. The people holding from $15,000, they're just gonna sell on you. They're just gonna sell. Like 100%. I've mentioned my sell targets before on Bitcoin. I'd be looking to scale out at certain points, and it's it's wild to think that people would expect it, but that happens every single cycle. People like buying Cardano at $3, thinking it was gonna go to $30. No, it went from 2 cents, 3 cents in the bear market all the way up there. It's not gonna go any higher. It's just the way it is. But yeah, it's bullish when I think about that side of it because we'll get to that liquidity trap. Same with XRP recently. Look at XRP. The price targets of like 25, 30, $50 came out very, very quickly when it had a green candle. Bloody green candles. Unbelievable. Oh dear. What's your take on privacy coins? Nah, shite. I've hated privacy coins for absolutely years. I was one of the first things I've said about crypto is like privacy coins will eventually die. The biggest privacy coin was Bitcoin at the start when you were mining it because you got it from source. It was all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, as centralized exchanges became more and more popular, yes, KYC came in, but ultimately there's still nowhere to hide. Like, there's genuine people that are buying privacy coins, and I'm not even joking. And I've seen it before in my groups. They're buying it from their card on an exchange, going, "Oh, I've bought some privacy coins." Means nothing. You've literally linked your entire card to an exchange to buy Monero. That is not being private. That's literally telling you they are. That's going, I'm hiding my money here, mate. Come and find it. Daft. So yeah, I just don't agree with it. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is pretty private if you don't, share what you're doing. Let's be honest. Or if you're not selling, just accumulate, accumulate, accumulate. Don't have to worry about it. What are your thoughts on new travel rule? I'm very worried I have to declare my wallet to exchanges. What are your thoughts on USD? There's always Tetherfoot. Every single cycle I've been in, there's been Tetherfoot. Whether it's been owned by China, it's going to blow up, or random stuff like oh my god, it's going to drain itself. Now the new one, as you can see, fun. I'm not too bothered, but yeah, the UK is very anti-crypto at the minute. I think with anti-crypto elements, certainly with the UK, and it brings me on to an exchange actually I'm going to recommend to people because there's a lot of people here, and I know there's a lot of new people kicking about, and people get very upset when I go and like mention exchanges. But when you're in the UK and also in Europe as well, you don't have futures. You don't have some exchange. I can't even go on Exodus Wallet right now. I can't even go on oh, what was it? There was a website I wanted to go on the other day. It was like a UK, honestly, it was a UK based news website. I couldn't go on it because I'm from the UK. I'm like, what? So there's stuff like that, which is like literally there's websites and companies that are based in the UK that are putting geolocation blockers on sod on everything. It's like, what? Why? So it just doesn't make any sense. And when we talk about the UK, 2, 3, 4 years ago, they had Floki meme coin all over the London tube system and on the bus system in London. Now look at it. It's like, oh, you can't do anything. Like, I recommend Swissborg to people, but I can't refer anyone to it because ultimately they're done by the FCA and they don't allow that referral marketing anymore. It's like, oh, great, lovely, thanks. What's the point? It's really silly rules. And the thing is, with the whole element of like, oh my god, you're going to get scammed, but ultimately you can buy a penny stock or you can get a scammer on your phone taking all your details, but that's not, you know what I mean? It's mad. Oh god, it's crazy. But yeah, in terms of like exchanges, there's a link below to Blowfin. And this is literally the only one that is open for the UK. If you've like tried to sign up to Binance recently or Qcoin or whatever, you've probably got limited access to what you can do. And this has still got everything at the minute. There's a link below to it. But at the end of the day, the UK is an absolute nightmare for like trying to do stuff. Like, as I said, Exodus wallets, it's a self-custody wallet. You can't even get on it in the UK. What? It's baffling. I'm amazed that other things are not like banned yet, but at the end of the day, you can use VPNs for stuff like that, but for exchanges, you kind of can't, which is a bit annoying half the time because you've got to do KYC to actually get a wallet worked. So, and even then, there's not many choices. But I think we're going to go through a narrative of more decentralized exchanges coming to the fore again, realistically. So we'll be interested to see how it goes, certainly with that side of it. But absolute wild. It really is. It does my tits right in. What's the first thing you look at when you turn your computer on and look at? I don't even look at bloody crypto half the time. I tend to look at the football news. I don't even look at crypto that often nowadays. It's kind of like a weird sort of thing. Like even through Christmas, right? I was like genuinely surprised when I looked at crypto. I was like, oh my God, that just didn't do what I expected it to do. And I was a bit disappointed, really. I was like, oh. But hey ho, over time, you're getting used to the fact of not doing crypto related stuff. You just get a bit bored of it. I turn all my notifications up on my phone at the end of the day. I just like to live a normal life. If it consumes you too much, it gets a bit worrying, realistically. Could there be another ETF for Solana? I think there's what 6 or 7 applications for other ETFs at the minute. I think XRP is one of them. Solana's another one. There's another couple. I don't know if the thing is. Let's look at the ETFs because the one thing that really like surprised me was how bad the Ethereum ETF was, and it's mad to think how it took so long. It like took till like November to really get marching up the hill, and that's what's mad. And you think, why is that? I mean, yeah, I would have expected Ethereum to have done better. And my mindset would have been, oh, well, Ethereum's lower in value, lower in market cap. People are going to think, oh, I'm going to make more money then. I'm going to invest in that too. But obviously, they've just went, oh, Bitcoin, store of value Bitcoin. And I think it's absolutely madness. Obviously, yes, there's been a lot of like dilution with the grayscale one, which is fair enough. But overall, when you think about it, there's only like that much. It's been so much diluted, by the way. It's crazy. But BlackRock's kind of made up for it, which is quite good. But yeah, it's taken so long to actually get there, which is utterly baffling. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Only a week after the Duncan Savers. Yeah. I think we're at absolute crumbling bottom signs here. Carlisle not doing. No, they're not. Less we talk about that, the better, to be fair. What happens if Michael Saylor starts selling their big? Oof, you know what? That's the question that everyone wants to know the answer to because shall we um oh what is it? He's got a website, hasn't he? The Michael Saylor. Is that his? Yeah. So this is his. Oh god, there's his orders, so to speak. Trying to think. There it is. The Sailor Tracker. So fucking hell. This is wild when you think about it. You know what's funny, right? My dollar cost average challenge has got better return versus him. I've got a better return. I don't have 41 billion. You all know I've got like less than $10,000 in it, but I've started in September. So realistically, if he started in September and didn't go berserk, he could have won, or I could have made as much. It's wild when you think about it, isn't it? The thing with this, right? Oh, there's so many things about this. Oh God. Michael Saylor is buying a lot of Bitcoin. He's buying a lot of Bitcoin without his money as well. He's buying a lot of Bitcoin with a company that's kind of somewhat not doing very well in terms of its actual market kind of thing, but it's got a lot of share price due to the fact of this, which is baffling. But for me, when you're looking at some of these cost prices, they are really mad. Now, I understand that dollar cost averaging works. It does over time. But I do think that this is a little bit wild. I do think this is a little bit aggressive. And I've said it in my own challenge. When there's a certain price, I will stop buying Bitcoin and I'll just store the USD and then I'll rebuy at the lows with whatever I sold as well. But the question is, and the question was, what happens when he sells? Well, when he sells, it's going to be really annoying. There's no other word about it. 41.39 billion is a lot. You think about the FTX kind of money that's kicking about that could be coming back into the market. It's about what, 11 to 12 billion, I think. Then you've got the likes of the strategic reserve in America, which isn't crazy, but that's enough to kind of think, oh God, I don't want that dumped. But if that gets dumped, that's a lot. That's 447,000 BT. That's a decent percentage of what BTC is available in the market, right? You think how many Bitcoins are mined every single day. It's going to take a big bloody din to sort that out. So, yeah, I would be a little bit worried. I don't know what you guys think. Feel free to let me know. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see where we go with it. But he has said he's never going to sell. But my thing is, this is my thing, and I said this, I said this on my Patreon like a couple of months ago, and people were like, "Oh, you got such a good point." I said, "What about what if he passes away, or what about if he gets hurt, or he gets really outed from his company? What if, right? Now this is the scenario that I could think of. What if Bitcoin goes up? Let's just say it goes up to say 150, 180,000. That's a market top." And I called it bob on. I'm not going to go like that, but you get the idea. Everyone's thinking it's going to go nowhere near as high as what we think. And he keeps buying and buying and buying. And then those become minus whatever percentages. At the end of the day, I don't know where their liquidation level is, how much collateral they've bought, this or whatever. This is all crazy. But if this starts going red and he gets outed from the company, or if something goes wrong with health or whatever, it's going to be a very interesting decision to see what they actually do. Because, yeah, someone just said, sack for what, increasing their market cap. But that's only share price. It doesn't change the fact that they could actually lose billions of dollars of other people's money because they've got it all this, that, and the other, and they're using market volatility to try and make the stock more attractive for people to buy it. Why not make your fucking product better for one? That's what scares me. Is it's very, very risky, and I think it is a situation that I think everyone needs to be aware of. That, well, what if it goes wrong? It might go right, it might be fine, but look at the last cycle with Luna. Look at the last cycle with like all these other things that went wrong, and they created a lot of problems for other companies. That's why the market crumbled, and this could be the crumbler. But like I say, what if, as I say, Bitcoin doesn't go as high as we think, and people buy it much higher? It could happen. It might not happen. We'll see how it goes. But other than that, we might be totally, totally fine. Sorry if my stream went a little bit slow then. Don't know what happened there. Had a bit of a lag, bit of a glitch. Oh, we seem to be back again. We're good. We're good. Don't know why I did that, to be fair. Just kind of went a bit funny. Had a funny turn. But anyways, I don't know what else to talk about now. Yeah, people mention margin calls, advising needs to get difference in opinion. But hey ho. So much stuff happening. It's good to see though. I like to see the market like this in terms of what could be happening longer term. We're going to 70k if match the January 20. I don't think we're going to match January 21 dump, to be honest with you. If we're going to match any dump, I think I think we're going to do nothing, to be honest with you. This month I feel like we're going to do nothing. We'll see how it goes. That's the overall thing at the minute in terms of market returns. If we go weekly returns, by the way, what was interesting in the last year was we had a really good first week and a really terrible second week, where it seems to be the other way around at the minute. But yeah, January is often an iffy month, so I wouldn't look at that. I mean, second week in January is often, look at that. It's like, we're back to work, boys. No, we're not. Let's press the sell button. Let's not play this game. But yeah, we'll be fine. Be read. Just checking my settings to see if anything's gone a bit weird. Just keep getting warnings. Silly thing. I think the monthly BTC chart looks very bad. Oh, let's have a little look. BTC monthly chart. I've got lots of random shite on my charts at the minute. Oh, nah, it's all right. Could be worse. Nah, it's fine. Still got 22 days left. Could be big, massive red by now, but it's all right. We're only 9 days into the month at the end of the day. What I think is interesting is we've not reclaimed a lot of these levels. I think we could go down, don't get me wrong, but it's not enough for people to absolutely get into tears over. What is interesting is people are disregarding this big move up from 50,000 pretty much, give or take, to, 108,000 and going, oh, but what if or oh my god, this is so bad, it's heartbreaking. But from 2023 to now, this is a big move. This is a huge move. And this is why I think to people like you need to be wary of where we go next. And this is why on my chart, I know there's a lot of fibs here. I've got a big old scale out area. We may not get there anytime soon, but we also know that if this is the thing, and I know I've just second guessed my entire thing. If we do get anywhere near this, right, this 67%, what's mad is if you add up if you add up those two, you're pretty much nearly there if we're going to repeat it. That would be scary. Imagine that. Tops in March, boys and girls. I'm joking, but you get the idea. It's a definite possibility where we could be literally topping much sooner than people think. But we'll see. Ah, the BTC will see a big crash when RK kicks. Maybe. Does feel like a top 2 veteran. I don't know if it feels like a top. What I feel is people are expecting it to go much higher, but they're disregarding the fact of the 2 year prior of how Bitcoin has grown from 15K to 150, 200 potential K, and still thinking it's going to go much, 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 much higher. Cycles end. We are in the last year of this cycle, pretty much the mania stage, and it doesn't last forever. We could be finishing by summertime, pretty much in terms of cycle situation. But that's the thing, the realistic element is people will sell. Supply will be greater than demand at one point, and it will create that cascading effect. And I think people forget that. It'll be fine, but ultimately, it's just the way it is. Not to be rude, but you seem very complacent. Everyone says that about me, but they forget, like, I've been in the market for a long time. It all depends when you buy as well. Like, for me, I don't want to blow smoke up people's ass, but I'd rather be honest than try and get people to ape into things when it's already high, when realistically it's a really, really high market. It is. And the big problem we got is people genuinely want a 200, 400, $600,000 Bitcoin when realistically it might not happen. you know, it happened. Look at last cycle was exactly the same. The lengthening cycle was here. Everyone was talking about the lengthening cycle. I was the one that took profit in October, November of that cycle. I got ridiculed for it. I was like, why? People are like, why are you taking profit? You're such a fucking lettuce hands and a cabbage. Yeah, how did that go? If my wallet looks like I made enough money over the course of the cycle, I'll just bow out and that'll be me. And I know that sounds arrogant and big-headed, but realistically, that's the way it is. You can't go off timings, you can't go off, what people say. You've got to go off what you think and what you look at in terms. Like, if you bought early enough, you're happy. But if you're scrambling in disbelief because you put your house on bloody 100K Bitcoin for it to go 4 or 5x, you might struggle. That's just the way I see it. Why are you the only YouTuber who's not bullish on altcoins? Because they're not bullish. Simple. Might well be time to buy soon, but you. The thing is, this cycle is very different to the last cycles. Like, actually, everything went up last cycle pretty much. Like, you had a bit of a rhythm. We don't have a rhythm at all. We've got Bitcoin going one way and altcoins going the other. It's literally like stretching an elastic band. It makes zero sense at the minute. Doesn't work in the same way it used to. Might well all fly over, but I think a lot of people want Bitcoin money. And also, you got to think how many people have been in Bitcoin for years. And as I say before, like, it's a store of value, isn't it? Like, people be like, well, why would I want to sell my Bitcoin when I've already made it? I've already made my money. There's that narrative as well. There's so many different things. And I know people are like, what? But when I look at my own Bitcoin portfolio, I look at it and go, why would I want to sell into that and buy an altcoin that could well go to zero? That's the mindset of people. And you've got to look as well, Bitcoin ecosystem's getting bigger and bigger. It's getting mad. It's getting like, there's runes, there's ordinals, there's DeFi, there's actual coins that are going to become a part of that cycle, which you may well have smart contracts on Bitcoin at some point in the next couple of years. Developers will just build on Bitcoin. They won't have to move chain. And then the Bitcoin ecosystem is going to get even stronger. It's like, what? So yeah, that's another factor. That's another narrative for another day. So yeah, could be very, very interesting. I feel like America went in a recession during Trump's presidency. I we can't deny it though, can we? When was the last time we had a recession? It was so long ago. It was like I was in school pretty much. It's like such a long, like a proper recession. Like we're talking about 2008 here, the credit boom or whatever, the crunch or the real estate market crumble, the big short. If you've never seen that, you'll see about it if you watch it. It's ridiculous. Could happen again, but we'll see. If no alt season, I don't think people will come back to crypto again. I think people will come back to crypto. I just think it's a different type of person. There's a lot of people that come into crypto with a very, very gambling mindset, and that's where people lose and they get destroyed of leverage or whatever. Like leverage is so easy to use if you know how to use it, but people don't want to put the time in to learn. Like that's why I first started teaching, because everyone was really degenerate gambling then, and it builds up from there. And like as I said before, teaching whatever. I set this up in 2017 pretty much. It's crazy to think how many members have been through this. Crazy. But do people learn? Not always. Do people want to learn? No. Do people just want numbers to go up? Yeah. But at the end of the day, the reality is here, markets will go up without you, sideways without you, down with you, whatever. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. But yeah, everyone says that though, like people won't come back, but they do. Once the green candles come back, you've got your phone notifications, and the people will start watching videos again. It's just crazy. I don't agree with any of this. People sell Bitcoin because they know the upside potential is limited and the FOMO. No, I disagree. I think most people in this chat will disagree with you, because you'll look at the BTC pairs of every single asset and it looks like that. And I think people forget that the price of your altcoins is the price of Bitcoin, just in a different formula. So basically, if you're looking at in cents above my head here, when you take away those averages and you remove that number, it's the same price. Basically, that is a true price of Cardano, 969 sats, which equals that at the Bitcoin price. So basically, you are buying altcoins in a small window called an alt season to try and make it so the Bitcoin value has been outperformed versus, say, Bitcoin. So you got to look at that in Satoshis. People never buy their assets in Satoshi value. People got destroyed. I mean, that's just Cardano. AVAX, even BNB has struggled recently. Let's, fucking dot. Ethereum going down massively. Why wouldn't I not want to hold Bitcoin and just wait for the altcoins? Like, yo, great, I've made USD, but every single chart is saying if you bought Bitcoin on that exact same day, you have got more Bitcoin units. So I disagree. Everyone has an opinion, but ultimately the facts are every single altcoin over a 3 or 4 year, I think a 3 year period, give or take, apart from maybe Solana, has pretty much underperformed Bitcoin, which is an absolute scary statistic for anyone holding altcoins. It doesn't take long to toggle into the BTC pair to see how much BTC you've lost, and then if you add that to how much is it worth in USD, you would be miles better off. But hey ho. If there's no sign of life by March, you want to start getting concerned. Yeah. I think for me, I've always said to people, always, always hold some Bitcoin. You know, altcoins are designed in certain ways to grow your Bitcoin if you buy it at the right time, buy at the lows, buy at the right time when dominance is high. Until we see that move over into alt season, there's no point. But even then, alt seasons can only last for so long. They don't last very long. It's just the way it is. There's only so many things that will do well. And again, now in the previous cycle, how many more coins are these? Thousands more. Some good ones too. If you still have enough cash to buy one BTC now, yeah, 100%. Thing with Bitcoin is you've got to think of the long-term game. Just stack them. That's what I'm doing with the DCA challenge. I've got a DCA challenge. There's a link below somewhere in one of my link things, or it's in Patreon at least. And already I'm up 54%, I think, in terms of my purchasing power. It's great that. I only started in September, just for a bit of fun. Just gonna $250 per week goes in that. Average cost at 60 something thousand Bitcoin at the minute. I bought quite a lot at the lows, to be fair, but just gradually just buying it. It's doing very well. But no, it'll be all right. Alts are done. I don't think they're done. I think people are wishing for an alt season that might not be as obvious. It might be obvious for some, but I think for some people it might take a bit of time. You've also got to think, what if Bitcoin runs first? If Bitcoin runs to $130,000, $140,000, what about if altcoins don't run with it? It's going to get really ugly. Alts is crypto, Bitcoin is great, but Bitcoin is revolutionized finance already. It's a store of value. The Lightning Network is faster than most altcoins. It's got the most amount of users, the most amount of money in it. Name me an altcoin that will do the same as Bitcoin in terms of strength and power. There isn't anything. There literally isn't anything. Fiat can be used stack sat if you want. Yeah, 100%. To be fair though, I will always look to sell. If I look at my BTC portfolio and I think, you know what, this is like stupid prices, I'll sell most of it and then just rebuy back in the winter, in the bear market, so to speak, the crypto winter. Do you think AI will kill crypto hype in the nah? I think AI is a very good thing, but I think a lot of people are looking at that quantum kind of computing thing and thinking, it's going to kill it all or whatever. I don't think it will, personally. I think it will aid it more than anything, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm going to shoot off. I've done over an hour on here, which is actually more than I expected, to be fair. Go me. I think longer term, though, I'll do more live streams, 100%. I mentioned that at the start of the video. But the reality is here, I could do concepts. We can build like a tier list for a bit of fun. We can build a portfolio for a bit of fun. We could do all kinds of stuff as a collective for a bit of a laugh and a bit of a giggle as well. But yeah, in terms of the market right now, well, I think January we have to write it off a little bit and see what happens, because 9 times out of 10 we can see the data. It's often an iffy month. So yeah, we have to be very, very mindful. But yeah, appreciate people turning up. If you're new, subscribe, don't miss any more. And obviously like the video, get it shared out. There'll be a replay if you missed part of it. It'll be out pretty soon and hopefully in decent quality.